So good afternoon, everyone. We are here for another session of our reading group. I'm going to introduce Chris Emezue in English first and then in French, and I'll then give him the floor. So Chris is a seasoned researcher committed to developing intelligent systems that can learn even in low resource length scenarios and are reliable. So his research areas are natural language processing, causality, reinforcement learning. And as a dedicated contributor to the field of African NLP, he has worked on several key projects to improve the representation of low resource African languages, technologies, and datasets. Furthermore, as an entrepreneur, Chris is building Lanfrica, a startup that aims to accelerate the development of AI applications in underrepresented regions. Donc, je vais reprendre en français pour les gens dans l'audience qui ne comprendraient pas anglais. Donc, Chris est un chercheur aguerri qui s'est engagé à développer des systèmes intelligents, fiables et capables d'apprendre même dans les scénarios à faibles ressources. Ses domaines de recherche sont le traitement de langage naturel, la causalité et l'apprentissage par renforcement. En tant que contributeur dévoué au domaine de l'African NLP, il a travaillé sur plusieurs projets clés visant à améliorer la représentativité des technologies et des ensembles de données des langues africaines à faibles ressources. En outre, en tant qu'entrepreneur, Chris a fondé Lanfrica, une start-up qui vise à accélérer le développement d'applications d'IA dans les régions sous-représentées. So that's it, and Chris, you have the floor now.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Let me happy to be here. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I will start, and Ismaila, whenever you want to start translating, just feel free to interrupt me. Okay. So hello, everyone. I am happy to introduce Lanfrica. It's a it's an organization that I am founding and we're trying to build. And the aim of one of the things, the major things that we're trying to do at Lanfrica is to tackle what we call the deep rooted AI challenges in the global majority. So, the vision, our mission for the world at Lanfrica is to leverage AI to improve lives of everyone in the world. But we've seen that when we come to the world and when we come to AI, it excludes a lot of people in Africa and majority of the global south. So you have a big thing like AI with a thriving economy, lots of interesting things coming out of it, but it's excluding a lot of people in Africa. For example, we have some examples here. Um, the translation in African languages are not very good if they are present. Um, till now, there is no single support for an African language in the popular voice assistants. And many of the language models and models in NLP models in general still fail when it comes to African languages and in the African context. So this example with the picture is when you say wedding ceremony in Sudan, it gives you a wrong context of a wedding, what a wedding in Sudan looks like. You can translate here, Ismail.
Yeah, so since the beginning, like, ce qui a été dit depuis le début, c'est que a été lancé par Chris pour résoudre ou en tout cas adresser les problèmes euh, qu'on a sur les low resource languages, donc des langages à faibles ressources. Euh, que le marché de l'IA est un marché à très fort potentiel, donc en termes de chiffre d'affaires, et qu'il exclut 1,4 milliard de personnes, donc la population africaine, jusqu'à nos jours. Et que là, par exemple, sur les devices comme Alexa, qui sont les plus répandus, on n'a pas de support sur les langues africaines. Lorsqu'on demande, il y a très peu de ressources sur la traduction ou le traitement des voix sur les langues africaines. Et par exemple, lorsqu'on demande à des modèles génératifs de sortir des images d'une d'une cérémonie de mariage au Soudan, les images qui sortent ne sont pas les bonnes images. Donc voilà. Chris, I think you can
Thank
go
you.
and you can write like les autres. Vous pouvez écrire vos questions dans le chat si vous en avez. Et voilà, on répondra à ces questions-là après.
Thank you very much. And
Ouais.
so, our mission for Africa now, so we're mostly an African focused organization. The mission is to leverage AI to improve lives and living in Africa. And the unique way that we want to do it is we want to tackle or address the deep rooted AI challenges in Africa. We believe in tackling the root of the problem, not the symptoms. And so this is a core focus of what we are doing in Lanfrica. And in tackling the deep rooted AI challenges, we have four pillars that we have constructed to achieve this. These four pillars are it's basically the four pillars of Landfreaker and what Landfreaker will be working on over the next 5 to 10 years in order to tackle the challenges of AI in Africa and in order to create a world where you have inclusive technology, inclusive AI that benefits and solves the unique challenges and problems of the African populace. I can pause here for a translation, Ismail.
Donc, pour résoudre les problèmes qui sont vraiment ancrés dans l'IA pour l'Afrique, on va se baser sur quatre piliers. Donc, la discoverability de ces ressources, like, de ces ressources pour de l'IA africaine, l'authenticité et enfin, des données authentiques et qui sont de bonne qualité, et donner du pouvoir à ceux qui vont chercher ces données-là, donc les data farmers. Et vraiment être ancré dans grounded and impactful research, donc être ancré on va dire dans nos problèmes et nos valeurs pour avoir une recherche qui va vraiment avoir de l'impact sur l'Afrique. So
Okay.
Chris, you can go
So,
ahead and yeah.
mhm. So I'll take them one by one quite quickly, so I will not go deep into them. So the first thing that gave birth to Landfreaker is trying to solve the problem of discoverability of African AI resources. And to give you an idea of the problem or what the problem used to be, um, so there are so many models, there's so many papers, there's so many data sets, so many software, so many communities around AI in different parts of the world, different parts of Africa, different languages. And so there are dispersed and scattered efforts around, and it becomes hard to find them. And so imagine you are a researcher and you want to build an NLP model, maybe a translation model from French to Fon. Fon is a language in Benin, and French is also as an official language there. And you're looking for existing models or existing data sets. So we found out that it was not easy to find it. Like, where do you go? The problem of where do you go? If you go to Google search and you type machine translation data sets for fun, it does not understand what fun is. It does not understand what you're trying to say. And so it's going to give you something else that's not what you're looking for. If you go to other websites, maybe they may not have fun. And so it became it became increasingly important to figure out how these different people, where they can go to find African AI resources. Take a just a normal person who is looking for like media on an African language. And when we talk of African languages, remember that there are 2,000 plus African languages. So I'm talking about the very unpopular languages. Because if you put something like Swahili or French, you can find it. French is not an African language, but if you put a very unpopular language like Uhobo or Ibibio, or if you can even think of your native African language, you see that you cannot find it on Google search or as a place where you can find it. And so this is the problem. The problem is that it's not easy to find African language or AI resources. And this is the first problem that we set out to solve. And the way we solved it is by building a platform called Lanfrica Records that just connects and catalogs all African AI resources. And this is what it looks like. So you would go to www.lanfrica.com, you would go to browse records, and then you have this interface here. You can search for your native African language. You can filter by data sets or any NLP task, and you can find the records or the resources that exist. And this really helped in solving the problem of discoverability, especially for the unpopular languages, because finally, if you're looking for a resource, a model, a data set, a media article, a software, language test for your native African language, there is a reliable place that you can go and find what has been done already. Um, I can stop here if
Yes,
that's
yes,
it.
that's a very good idea. So, donc, on a parlé des différentes tâches donc qu'il y avait et le problème, donc un des problèmes c'était la discoverability, donc le fait de pouvoir chercher et trouver ces ressources-là sur des langues africaines. Euh, donc, on ne parle pas des langues comme le Swahili ou d'autres langues qui seraient assez populaires pour être trouvées, mais on parle d'autres langues qui seraient pas si populaires que ça et où c'est vraiment difficile de trouver des ressources. Donc, on a vu là l'exemple de Afar. Donc, tu peux choisir une langue et tu peux aussi choisir la tâche. Est-ce que ce sera de la traduction automatique? Est-ce que ce sera de la reconnaissance de voix, donc speech recognition? Euh, oui, donc ça, et l'Anfrica permet de résoudre ce problème en centralisant ces données-là. So,
Thank
Chris,
you.
I think you can go ahead. If there are questions, you can put them in the chat. And
Hmm.
yeah, I have one, but I'll wait until the end.
Okay. Um, okay. So we started with when we started Lanfrica Records, we started with um, language resources. So mostly around NLP, but the vision is to include linguistic publications on different sections like sociology and the legal affairs, media coverage on African languages, African language policy documents, and then computational publications. So this is the grand vision is to have a place that connects. It's like a network, like a web that connects everything going on around African AI resources and in order to make them easier to find. And that's what we mean by discoverability. And like in 2022, that's last year, we were able to successfully link 1,000 resources, 1,000 plus. So we crossed the milestone of 1,000 for our our milestone of 1,000 for 2022, and our plan is to increase this number to 2,000 for this year and keep increasing this number. Another thing we are doing in terms of discoverability is a thing we call Lanfrica Talks, and the aim is to amplify AI voices. when you look at the internet, when you look at the web, who are the people talking about AI? It's always popular people like Sam Altman and the big people in the global north. But there are lots of interesting efforts. There are lots of interesting work being done in the African continent or by African researchers. And they're not so there isn't many platforms for them to share their work, share their research, share their findings. And so with Lanfrica Talks, we're trying to solve that by building it's basically a podcast, a show. We call it Lanfrica Talks Show, where we invite researchers to come and talk about the works that they're doing. And it can be anything about any work that you're doing. And so it has a YouTube, which has over 20 talk shows and more. And then we also have the podcast, which is audio, so you can move around while listening to these conversations. And this is where I will stop. Ismaila, let me let you translate.
Yeah. So, if you can just go back a few slides so that I'll try to. Yeah, like I think, yeah, it's good here. Donc, Lanfrica a commencé avec des ressources en NLP et ensuite ils ont rajouté des ressources dans d'autres domaines comme la linguistique ou les publications sociologiques que vous voyez là. Le but, c'est de vraiment connecter tout ce qui est lié aux ressources, mais en Afrique. Et ils ont atteint le milestone de plus de 1000 records le 31 décembre 2022. So I think you can go to the following slides talking about the records. Ils ont aussi, c'est là où ils ont donc atteint plus de 1000 ressources sur leur plateforme. Et ensuite, il y a Lanfrica Talks qui permet d'amplifier un peu plus cette facilité ou bien cette discoverability, dans le sens où elle permet à des chercheurs africains de parler de leur travail. Elle donne une plateforme où ces gens peuvent s'exprimer et se connecter à d'autres. Et donc, contrairement à d'autres plateformes où, lorsqu'on entend parler d'IA et de deep learning en général, c'est plus des gens des pays du Nord, donc les grandes voix de ces pays-là. Donc, en plus, il y a aussi les podcasts pour permettre aux gens de pouvoir écouter tout en faisant d'autres activités et ne pas forcément avoir à interrompre ces activités-là pour pouvoir regarder. Donc, je pense que c'est à peu près ça. So, Chris, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you.
You're
Okay, so that's it about discoverability. The next pillar is around building, creating authentic, high quality data sets. And here at Lanfrica, we have an interesting term that we've coined, and it's called data farming. Uh, so at Lanfrica, our approach to creating authentic, high quality, large data sets, it's using the approach of data farming instead of data mining. And so I'll explain what we mean here. The the current way of collecting data right now is akin to what we call data mining. The idea is you're trying to take as much data as you can. So it's about taking and taking and taking. It's about how can you take as much data as you can. And to give you examples, if you want to create a data for a language model in your language, let's in an African language, the first thing the method of data mining is always, oh, let me go to the internet and scrape whatever content is there. Maybe I won't care about copyright because it's too cumbersome to worry about. So I'll just scrape everything. And so that's the idea of just, scraping. And most times you're scraping, you're not really thinking about how to give back to the people you're scraping their data from. Most times you're scraping, you're not thinking about the copyright issues because it's quite cumbersome. So most NLP scientists or NLP practitioners is all about, I want to scrape data, I want to get as much data as I can, use it, build my model, and it ends there for me. And even when you have efforts to create data, like let's say some organization gives some funding to create data, the aim is always to, I come to a community, like maybe I come to Senegal, for example. I have money, I get people to work for me to give me data. I take my data, I go. I train my model. I think something happened. Okay, okay. I train my model, and that's it. So these these mindsets and ways of thinking are what we call data mining. I will allow you to translate here, so it makes
Yes.
sense when I go to the next one.
Thank you. Donc, pour obtenir des données authentiques et de bonne qualité, à Lanfrica, on a pensé à ce terme qu'on appelle data farming, donc que je pourrais traduire par la culture, donc comme le fait de cultiver des données, euh, qui est différent du data mining, dans le sens où le data mining, c'est ce qui se fait actuellement, et c'est le but du data mining, c'est d'aller prendre des données. Donc, comme on ferait dans une mine où on irait creuser. Et généralement, ce qui se fait, c'est du web scraping. Donc, aujourd'hui, si je veux des données en Wolof, ce que je vais aller faire, c'est faire du web scraping, aller sur le net, prendre toutes les données, sans vraiment tenir compte des copyrights et sans penser à un moyen de faire du give back à ceux chez qui j'ai pris ces données-là. Donc, je pense que là, je vais laisser Chris parler du data farming, où on verra un peu mieux. So, Chris, I think you can go ahead.
Mhm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So at Lanfrica, we are developing and working on a concept we call data farming. It's based on the idea of farming. So when you think of a farmer and farming, what do you do? Like you go to an area of land, you take care of, you put in a plant, you plant a seed, you take care of the seed grows, and then you harvest the fruit or the food, and you harvest it. You're also thinking about putting more seeds so that more will grow. So you harvest, you eat, and then you put the seeds back in the ground. This is what it's called farming. In our case, we are bringing in a concept called data farming, where it's an approach to getting data, where you're not just trying to take the data, but you're trying to grow the data. You're trying to give back to the community. So you grow the data with the community, you give back to the community, and this is essentially some of the values in what we call data farming.
OK. Donc, comme je disais, donc le data farming, donc la culture, entre guillemets, comme on dirait, le farming, c'est donc vraiment cultiver quelque chose. C'est cette idée de prendre des graines, de les mettre sous terre et d'obtenir un fruit, on va dire, ou un gain, et de réutiliser ce gain-là pour ensuite peut-être donner plus, faire du, voilà, avoir plus de données encore, donc en replantant et ainsi de suite. Et ça permettra aussi de faire du give back dans les communautés où on prend ces données-là. I think yes, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just one moment. Let me put the thing back on. Okay. Yeah, so we data farming. And so this is what happens when you use data mining. At the end, in the next 5, 10 years, what you have is a barren land, a land that is you've taken everything from it. It cannot grow. It's just there. And when you implement the idea of farming, what you have is a green land. There's prosperity, there's abundance. And so the current approach of data mining, what happens is that the data creators, the data communities, the language communities become like this with data mining. It's barren. There's no help coming to them. There's nothing for them. It's just people, things coming in, entities coming and taking the data or taking whatever they can take from them. But with data farming that we're implementing or working on at Lanfrica, it gives rise to a prosperous ecosystem where the data communities are like they're growing, they're being prosperous, abundant, rich as AI is growing.
Okay, I can jump in, right?
Mhm. Feel
Ok,
free.
donc quand on fait du data mining, ce qui se passe, c'est comme ce qui se passerait dans des mines où les ressources seraient exploitées et seraient amenées ailleurs, et donc l'endroit même où ces ressources sont prises pourrait ne jamais bénéficier de ces ressources-là. Donc, c'est comme l'image qu'on voit à gauche là. Et lorsqu'on parle de data farming, c'est toute une autre image où on verrait de la prospérité, où les acteurs qui produisent les données vont aussi profiter de ces données-là et profiter des fruits de ce qu'ils produisent en termes de données. Et donc, on peut le voir comme ayant un cercle, bon, qui n'est pas forcément vertueux dans le data mining, alors que dans le data farming, on aurait un cercle vertueux où on va dire qu'il y a de la richesse qui est générée et qui permet d'atteindre de la prospérité.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One thing to consider here is data mining is easy from a practical point of view, because if you think about it, if I want to get the data for Senegalese language or dialect, it's easy for me to just go online and scrape it from Wikipedia. I don't have to stress myself. Data farming is very hard. And what we're trying to do at Landfricker is is to easen up the process of data farming. And one key way to do this is through community involvement and partnerships and community empowerment. And this is the bedrock of Landfricker. It's all about forming partnerships. It's about community involvement, community empowerment. And the people in the community is different from the people in the typical community. So in a typical NLP community, you're more interested in the data scientists, the NLP engineers. These are the people who put the write the code together. You don't care about language speakers. But in the Lanfrica community, we're putting a great emphasis on native speakers of the language, annotators, evaluators, institutions, communities, local indigenous communities, technologists, engineers, and AI specialists. So this is how we're building Landfrica. The bedrock of Landfrica, it's on the community involvement and empowerment.
Ok. Donc, euh, le data mining est assez facile parce qu'on n'a pas à s'encombrer de considérations éthiques ou il suffit juste d'aller sur Internet et de scraper les pages Wikipédia, peut-être Twitter. Le data farming est plus difficile à faire. Et à l'Anfrica, on essaie de rendre le data farming plus facile à faire en donnant plus de pouvoir aux communautés. Et il ne s'agit pas juste de la communauté technologique, donc des ingénieurs et des spécialistes en IA, mais même des speakers, donc les locuteurs naturels de cette langue, les personnes qui parlent naturellement cette langue, les annotateurs, ceux qui évaluent, voilà, les communautés locales, les institutions. Et ainsi, il y a un cercle vertueux qui se met en place et qui va permettre à l'Africa de vraiment maintenir ces communautés-là et rendre le data farming plus facile.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How much time do I have? It says 49 on the thing you're recording, but
Yeah,
my
but like I was here before, so you still have
okay,
maybe 2 minutes, I think.
okay. So really, I think I want to do more of discussion, and this is really the pillar of Landfricker. We have some ongoing projects that I'm quite proud of. We're currently creating the first of its kind high quality speech data sets in Nigeria. We are working on an education platform for the African continent. And the unique difference in this platform is that it focuses on indigenous languages. To give you an example, think of a plagiarism checker. So in universities or in research institutions, you write papers, and then you use a plagiarism checker that can help you to make your work more authentic. All these plagiarism checkers are always in English or and European languages, but I have never seen a plagiarism checker for an African language. But there are institutions studying some of these African languages. So how do they make their work authentic? So this is the gap that we're trying to fill in terms of building education platforms that work for African languages. Of course, for this, we're partnering with a number of universities in Africa, trying to understand more about this and how to build it. We're also working on a number of digitization efforts, of course, with the African context in mind, but starting with Nigeria. So this is about digitizing African heritage um, in a crowdsourced approach. I will let you talk here.
Ok. Donc, Lanfrica a quelques projets en cours. Parmi ces projets-là, Niger Voice, donc je pense qu'il y a une illustration de data farming. Après, il y a une plateforme donc éducative et qui résout le problème du détecteur de plagiat, mais pour des langues africaines. Parce que pour ceux qui font de la recherche, c'est quelque chose de connu. Lorsqu'on écrit des articles, on les passe généralement dans les détecteurs de plagiat et ça permet de garantir d'une certaine manière l'authenticité des productions intellectuelles. Cependant, il y a des personnes qui étudient dans des langues africaines, dans des langues locales, et nous n'avons pas de détecteur de plagiat pour ces langues-là, ce qui est un problème. Il y a aussi une approche pour faire de la digitalisation, donc pour digitaliser donc l'héritage africain et digitaliser, euh, on va dire, les langues africaines par une approche de crowdsourcing ou approche participative. You can go ahead.
Okay, and that's the end. You That's the end actually. So here is a QR code, a big QR code. When you scan it, it you can see the link to the Lanfrica Records, the link to Lanfrica Talks, the link to our mailing list, the link to our community on Slack. So feel free to connect with us and to join our community. This is me, this is my email, and that's the end.
OK. Donc, vous avez un QR code et à travers ce QR code-là, vous pouvez avoir accès au lien vers Lanfrica, vers les talks Lanfrica et vers la communauté Slack. Et voilà. Après, vous avez la photo de Chris et son adresse mail. Vous pourrez vous rentrer en contact avec lui et vous connecter avec lui. So, thank you, Chris, very much for this presentation of Lanfrica. Um, if others have questions, that's the moment to take them. If not, I'll start with mine. Donc, je remercie Chris pour cette présentation-là. Si vous avez des questions, c'est le moment de les poser dans le chat. Sinon, moi, je vais commencer avec ma question et j'essaierai de traduire la réponse aussi. So, my question was like, how are you getting the data actually? Because I think you are doing crowdsourcing and all of that, but if I am, let's say, in Senegal and I'm creating a data set, how are you connecting with me to get the data? And yeah, like that's the first question.
So
Uh,
you mean
yeah, I
that
will translate the question and the answer once you are done.
okay. Um so the core of Lanfrica is building this, yeah, this network I talked about. So to specifically use your example of Senegal, you're in Senegal and you want you like so yeah, the Lanfrica way would be Lanfrica would have collaborations with institutions and organizations like the Gaussian AI and other indigenous organizations in Senegal, working with them such that if a client wants Senegalese data, it would be a direct um, communication with the Senegalese branch, you can say, of Lanfrica, to then have discussions on how this data, the people that will be involved in building the data, the licensing of the data, and yeah, so that's how it's gonna be work. It's gonna work. To summarize, it's the idea, the vision I have is for each African country, you're gonna have branches in these countries that partner with the communities in that country.
Ok, ok. Thank you very much for the clear answer. Donc la question c'était like okay, yeah, I'm switching to French, so I'm saying the question and the answer. Donc la question c'était comment l'Africa fait pour être connecté à quelqu'un qui serait au Sénégal et qui créerait ces datasets. Et donc la réponse c'est que c'est à travers des partenariats, donc des partenariats avec des entités comme Galsen AI, où l'Africa aurait des branches, entre guillemets. Donc, il y aurait la branche sénégalaise de l'Africa. Et si une entreprise souhaite obtenir des données du Sénégal, l'Africa fera en sorte de faire le lien pour que ces gens s'organisent, donc la branche sénégalaise de l'Africa s'organise pour pouvoir produire ces données-là. And Chris, I guess like there would be I don't know pecuniary like they will be paid for that, right?
Yes, yes.
Ok. Et donc ces gens qui seraient impliqués dans cette collecte de données pourraient recevoir des fonds venant de cette entreprise en guise de paiement. Do you have any other questions? I think there are some messages in the audience. Ta-ta-ta. So thank you for this excellent presentation. Just want to know if it's possible to be an ambassador of one African language and lead data collection for some specific tasks. Yes, like speech recognition, for example.
Yes,
And
I'm currently replying to that.
okay, okay.
Should I say it here or
Yeah, I think if you can, because not sure if everyone is.
yes? Yeah. So the question is about being an ambassador for the African language and leading the data collection effort. So I think um, it's the part of leading data collection effort for some specific task in the language. This is something, and this is the way Lanfrica is planning to approach the idea of data creation. So yes, that's very possible. I would
Yeah.
so I please join our mailing list, join our community on Slack. Yeah, we will give more updates and as we move on this.
Okay. So I think that was the answer for being an ambassador. I have heard something. Will this be free for students? This what? If you can specify. If you need to take the floor and speak, please don't be shy. You can just take the floor and speak out the question. Yeah, somebody asked for you to put the QR code.
Okay, did you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Um, you said that for example, that will be not free for how to say that for a company, for example, but for us for students who are in this how to say that, sorry, on
I
this
understand
way,
you.
on this way to grow, to try to grow this our 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 level for
Hmm.
the
Thank you very
will
much.
Yes,
that be free for us? Sorry.
yes, I completely understand you. Um, so yes, we are working on, so in terms of data farming and building a data creation platform that is based on the idea of data farming, we're working on a licensing approach, if you may. I did not share this because of the time, but this is the idea. I won't go through this, but this is the part you're asking. So a licensing approach that is free for research, non-profit. So that's where students come in so that they can use the data, and the same licensing approach that enables remuneration for the commercial use of the data, and the remuneration goes back to the dataset creators. This is a unique approach to data creation that we're trying to build at Lanfrica. It's unique because many data annotation services around the world do not implement this for good reasons. It's very difficult, but we're really working tirelessly to build this ecosystem on the African continent. So yes, it will be free. Ah, I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen, was I? Oh, sorry.
No, you weren't
I
sharing it.
I see. I was talking, uh, thinking that I was sharing my screen. This is the thing I was talking about. So this is the licensing, free for research. So that's where students are, and then commercial use. You have some remuneration that goes back to the dataset creators and the dataset community. The community.
Okay, like I'm not sure we need translation for that. I have a question that might be somewhat technical. How can we
Sure.
make sure, like, if I get free access and use the data to create some commercial services, are you planning to have like tricky ways to make sure that, yeah, I know for sure that this model used my data to be trained and then is used for commercial purpose, so you have to pay back something? Or,
That's a good question. So that falls area of data licensing. And that's another department that we're very excitedly working on. It's about how to the current data licenses are good, but they have issues. They don't accurately cover the context of using data in AI and machine learning. So one department we're working on in Africa is building better data licenses that will address for example, the issue that you're talking about. And
okay.
these data licenses are for everyone. So we're working on something where just imagine this. You are in Senegal, you create about you get your community to build 50, 60 hours of speech data. Right now, there's a problem of where do you put it? If you put it open source, a company will probably come and take the data and build their model, and you don't get anything. Maybe you want to get something. Okay, you go to Hugging Face or go to Zenodo. What license do you use? You don't know. You don't know how licenses work. If you go and read maybe CC4 license, it's very technical. You don't understand what it's saying. And so usually what you do is either you just upload it on GitHub and just choose any of GitHub license and just forget it, or you don't upload it because you don't want people to use your data. But what we are working on right now is a platform where you have your data and you're wondering, what license do I use? You can easily come here and say, okay, I want my data to be used for this. I don't want it to be used for this. I want it to be done for this in any language you want. And then it will show you licenses. It will build a license or customize a license for you that has these things that you want. A standard license that is using the standard license, and you can take this license as a TXT file or anywhere and upload in Zenodo and put the TXT file, or upload in GitHub and put the TXT file. Better licenses enable better sharing of data. And so we're very um, happy to be working on the license part. It involves a lot of work in trying to understand how data is shared, understand the laws governing data, and then trying to make this because usually legal things are very hard for like a scientist like me to understand. So trying to condense this to make it easy for normal people to understand and make better decisions about their licenses.
Okay, thank you very much. Like the idea I had in mind was, data poisoning. Do you know about data poisoning?
Data what?
Like it's some kind of like you're going to put some kind of stamps on the data
Okay.
in such a way that if someone uses that, you're able
Ah,
to
you know.
just
Yes,
trigger a model. Like you just trigger an
I see.
unnatural behavior of the model, and you know for sure that it used your data because you put
Yeah.
some things inside.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting concept. We're also looking at that. There's a research that we're working on, and yes, if anyone is if you're eager to collaborate in some of this research, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah,
There's a research we're working on that's like you have a model like maybe Chat GPT or GPT something. How do you know if your data was used in this model? And so so we're working on a research department that can basically you can take this model, bring in your data, and it will do some there's some algorithms it will use to give you a probability that this model used your data. And that way, if you actually, if someone used your data wrongly, like maybe you said don't use it commercially and they used it, you can then pursue some legal action around it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
I like your idea of the stamp thing. It sounds. I like the way it sounds. I would like to also talk more about the
we can talk more about that. Like I know for sure like it's possible to use it for images, but at the end of the day, images, sounds, it's just like transformed into vectors. So there should be a way
exactly.
for that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Because if you take the representation of the data, I don't know if that stamp is still preserved there, but that's something to think about, of course.
Yeah, that's totally like, yeah, there is something to do there. I was trying to dig into the chat. I think all the questions have been answered, right? If there are other questions, please feel free to ask them. And sorry, like for the lack of translation by the end. I think like everybody here is doing better in English, so maybe we don't need translations. But yeah, if translations are needed, maybe you can put some comments directly in the WhatsApp community or under the YouTube video once it's uploaded. So if
Sounds
there
good.
is no other questions, we might thank again our speaker. I think two messages. Yeah, that's you putting the links. So yeah, thank you very much, Chris, and hopefully you might hear back from people from Galsen AI that attended this talk, that will reach out to you to participate in Lanfrica or any other project that you may be happy to collaborate in.
Thank you very much, and I'm definitely looking out for it. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.